watching Jamaican News on YouTube, your number one place for local and international news about Jamaica.
Welcome back, my viewers and my subscribers. So right now in this week episode, the first installment of popular and famous Jamaican who had passed yard and abroad or either get murdered yard or abroad. In this week episode, my viewers and my subs, we will be kicking it off with Dennis EMANUEL Brown. My people, it's not gonna be always about sad story. Many times we are going to highlight some of the Jamaicans and many Jamaicans who have passed, but they have continued and they have shared what they have and what they know and their talents in developing Jamaica culturally, yard and abroad. They have contributed dearly and tirelessly to our culture, to our cultural development, and we will be passing on these history through our platform. Each week I will be dropping one episode. You don't know who it's gonna be, so you need to subscribe to the channel so anytime we drop that video you get the update and you can learn some history and some of our people who have contributed to our culture, yard and abroad. You understand me? But are no longer here with us. Now, with all of that said, all of that done, I want you to remember to like the video, remember to share. Now I'm going to jump into the information with no further ado. Now listen.
Dennis EMANUEL Brown have a prolific career, which began in the late 1960s when he was age 11. He recorded more than 75 albums and was one of the major stars of lovers rock, a subgenre of reggae. Bob Marley cited Brown as his favorite singer, dubbing him the crown prince of reggae. Dennis Brown was born on February 1, 1957 in Victoria Jubilee Hospital in Kingston, Jamaica. His father Arthur was a scriptwriter, actor and journalist, and he grew up in a large tenement yard between North Street and King Street in Kingston with his parents, 3 elder brothers and a sister. Although his mother died in the 1960s, he began his singing career at the age of 9. While still at junior school, with an end-of-term concert, the first time he performed in public, although he had been interested in music from an even earlier age, and as a youngster was a fan of American balladeers such as Brooke Benton, Sam Cooke, Frank Sinatra, and Dean Martin. He cited Nat King Cole as one of his greatest early influences. He regularly hung around Gigi's record store on Orange Street in the rocksteady era, and his relatives and neighbors would often give Brown pennies to hear him sing in their yard. Brown's first professional appearance came at the age of 11, when he visited Tit for Tat, a local West Kingston nightclub, where his brother Basil was performing a comedy routine, and where he made a guest appearance with the club's resident group, the Fabulous Falcons, a group that included Cynthia Richards, David Scott, and Noel Brown. On the strength of this performance, he was asked to join the group as a featured vocalist. When the group performed at a JLP conference at the National Arena, Brown sang 2 songs, Desmond Decker's Unity and Johnny Taylor's Ain't That Loving You, and after the audience showered the stage with money, he was able to buy his first suit with the proceeds. Band leader Byron Lee performed on the same bill and was sufficiently impressed with Brown to book him to perform on package shows featuring visiting U.S. artists, where he was billed as the boy wonder. As a young singer, Brown was influenced by older contemporaries such as Delroy Wilson, whom he later cited as the single greatest influence on his style of singing, Errol Dunkley, John Holt, Ken Buda, and Bob Andy. Brown's first recording was an original song called Lips of Wine for producer Derek Harriott, but when this was not released, he recorded for Clement Coxon Dodd's Studio One label, and his first session yielded the single No Man is an Island, recorded when Brown was aged. In 1972, Brown began an association that would result in his breakthrough as an internationally successful artist. He was asked by Joe Gibbs to record an album for him, and one of the tracks recorded as a result, Money in My Pocket, was a hit with UK reggae audiences and quickly became a favorite of his live performances. In the same year, Brown performed as part of a Christmas morning showcase in Toronto, along with Delroy Wilson, Scotty, Errol Dunkley, and the Fabulous Flames, where he was billed as the boy wonder of Jamaica and was considered the star of the show in a local newspaper review. Brown and Holness became close, even sharing a house in Pembroke Hall. Brown followed this with another collaboration with Holness on Westbound Train, which was the biggest Jamaican hit of summer 1973, and Brown's star status was confirmed when he was voted Jamaica's top male vocalist in a poll by Swing magazine the same year. In 1973, Brown was hospitalized due to fatigue caused by overwork. At the time, rumors spread that he only had one lung and had only a week to live or had contracted tuberculosis. He was advised to take an extended break from performing and concentrated instead on his college studies. Brown returned to music and toured the United Kingdom for the first time in late summer 1974 as part of a Jamaican showcase along with Cynthia Richards, Al Brown, Sharon Forrester, and the Maytals, after which he was invited to stay on for further dates, where he was backed by the Cimarrons, staying in the UK for another 3 months. While in the UK, he recorded for the first time since his hospitalization, working with producer Sidney Crooks and again backed by the Cimarrons. While Brown was in the UK, Gibbs released an album collecting recordings Brown made earlier in Jamaica, released as The Best of Dennis Brown, and Brown's first single to get a proper UK release was issued on the Cinder label, No More Will I Roam. He returned to Jamaica for Christmas, but 6 weeks later was back in the UK, now with Holness in tow as his business manager, to negotiate a record deal with Trojan Records. Brown toured the UK in the fall of 1977 with Big Youth, and described the tour, "It's like I was appointed to deliver certain messages and now is the time to deliver them." He had also begun producing recordings by his protege, Junior Delgado. In 1978, Brown moved to live in London and set up premises in Battersea Rise, near Clapham Junction, to relaunch the DAB music label with Castro Brown, with artists featured on the label including Junior Delgado, Bob Andy, Lennox Brown, and later, Gregory Isaacs. In March 1978, Brown flew to Jamaica, where he was booked at the last minute to perform at the One Love Peace concert at the National Arena, backed by Lloyd Park's We the People Band. Dennis Brown was given a wider distribution via a deal between Lightning Records and WA and topped the UK reggae album chart in September 1978. This chart run lasting for 5 months. In August 1978, Brown returned to the UK bringing Junior Delgado with him, and DAB Music released a series of singles, although they sold moderately compared to the label's earlier success. But in the same month, Brown's breakthrough single was first released. Initially released as a disco mix featuring a new version of Money in My Pocket and the DJ version Cool Runnings by Price Mohammed, which became unavailable for a time after quickly selling out its first pressing. This single gave Brown his first UK Top 40 hit, reaching number 14 the following year, and becoming one of the biggest international hits in Jamaica's history, after crossing over first into soul and then rock. This success led to Brown featuring on the cover of the NME in February 1979. With continuing commercial success, Brown signed an international deal with AANDM Records in 1981 and now based permanently in the UK. While his association with AANDM had taken him in a more commercial pop direction, Kingston's music scene had shifted towards the new dancehall era, and Brown enthusiastically adapted to the new sound, recording for some of the genre's major producers including Prince Jammy and Gussie Clarke. In the early 1980s, he also started a new label, Yvonne Special, dedicated to his wife. In the late 1990s, Brown's health began to deteriorate. He had developed respiratory issues, probably exacerbated by long-standing problems with drug addiction, mainly cocaine, leading to him being taken ill in May 19, 1999. After touring in Brazil with other reggae singers where he was diagnosed with pneumonia, upon returning to Jamaica on the evening of the 30th of June 1990, he was rushed to Kingston's University Hospital suffering from cardiac arrest. Brown died the next day. The official cause of his death was road collapse at Brown's funeral, which was held on the 17th of July 1999 in Kingston. The service, which lasted for 3 hours, also featured live performances by Maxi Priest, Shaggy, and 3 of Brown's sons. Brown was then buried at Kingston's National Heroes Park. Brown was survived by his wife Yvonne and 10 children. Prime Minister Patterson paid tribute to Brown, saying, "Over the years, Dennis Brown has distinguished himself as one of the finest and most talented musicians of our time. The Crown Prince of Reggae, as he was commonly called. He has left us with a vast repertoire of songs which will continue to satisfy the hearts and minds of us all for generations to come."